Morning. My name is Pamela, and I'm a creative strategist. I'm also the founder of Vamos Ladies. And I have to tell you, Plywood holds a really special place in my heart. Just 2 years ago, I was a volunteer here, and I didn't know anybody. And so, as I was volunteering and putting together some plywood stunt, putting stickers on something, I was talking to the people that I was volunteering with, and I said, I have this idea, I have this thing that I've been working on in my head for years. And after the conference, I felt inspired, and I started. And last year, 1 year later, I got to come on stage and talk in the ideas competition and tell you a little bit about Vamos Ladies and what I've been building. So I'm really excited to be back here today and to talk to you a little bit about what the last 2 years of my life have been like with entrepreneurship and trying to do social good and being a Latina immigrant and what all of that has meant for me. But first, I'm going to take you back. If this clicker works. There we go. It's not working. Is it working? We'll see. So I'm going to take you way back. That's me. I was born in Ecuador and lived a pretty standard happy life with my parents and my siblings. My parents had a booming business and it was going really well. Ooh, Ecuador is beautiful. Our food is really good. You should come visit. And everything was going great. However, in 1999, my country went through a really difficult economic situation. There was really high inflation. There was lots of banks that closed, or that they kept they froze people's assets. Many, many families lost everything, including my own. And because of that, many people migrated out of Ecuador. And my family came to Atlanta. And sorry, y'all, the clicker's not working, so bear with us while we work this out. Thank you. So we came to Atlanta, and unfortunately, the hardship were just kind of beginning. It turns out that being an immigrant in a family of 5 with $500, starting a new business in a new country, learning a new language, thank you, is tough, y'all. And on top of that, the immigration system is really complicated and difficult, and I was undocumented for many years. And it is because of this that has given my life purpose. There we go. And it gave my life purpose, and I just couldn't imagine being somebody that just worked and that just came home and then that was it. Because I said, if my family has come so far, we've made it, and in the ways that you can make it, I have to help other people. So I was pretty obsessed with doing good stuff. While I was growing up, my family had a small business, and good stuff meant Key Club and Red Cross Club and whatever thing they would let a teenager help with. And as I got older and I went to college, I got into community organizing. Very passionate about my immigrant community. I did the things that we do in those sort of organizations, held rallies, protest, held many Know Your Rights trainings. However, I started noticing a problem with community organizing. While the work was really fulfilling and it was really impactful, it was really hard. Nobody was getting paid for it. It was the same people kind of cycling into it and cycling out of it. People would burn out. And I said, you know what, I want to do good, but I want to do good for a long time, and this doesn't feel sustainable to me. So let me explore what's a different way of doing good. So I went on to work in a nonprofit. Great. Now I was getting paid to do good. I had AC, I had PTO, I had all the things that a young person would want. For a while it was great, except for I started noticing that I was spending a lot of time in my air-conditioned office and not so much time with the community like I wanted to be. There was a lot of inefficiency that I noticed in nonprofit, and coming from a design background, I knew that we could make things more efficient. And the biggest thing is that I noticed that funders, and the way that the nonprofit I was in was funded was by grants. And a lot of the times the work that we were doing was dependent on whatever grant we had. And once the grant ended, we were done and it was time to move on to the work, whether the community needed us to move on or not. So I said, let me try something else. had a bright idea. I'm gonna get a fancy job in corporate and make a lot of money, and then in my free time, I'm gonna volunteer and do whatever I can to help. And so I did that for a while, and I volunteered, taught in the weekends, but it turns out a full-time job is really exhausting, and I didn't have as much energy as I had hoped for. And more than anything, during the day, I was really frustrated because I felt like my skill sets, which are good skill sets, weren't really being used for anything important or interesting or anything that I cared about. And so with a resume, as you can imagine, my resume looks like exactly how they tell you your resume shouldn't look, with lots of different exploration of careers and industries. But I learned two important things. One, good work takes money. Good work takes people, and those people need to eat. And a lot of the times when we're doing good work, we're thinking about like, no, I just love this, and it's like my passion, and that's great and all, and it's a great place to start, but it's not really sustainable. And the thing is that where this money comes from matters. Because for me, as a Latina immigrant who deeply cares about her community, in order to get money, chances are that I'm not getting it from somebody like myself. So whoever I get that money from, whether it's a funder or an investor, I have to get them to see the problems that I see in my community, get them to agree that my community is worth investing in, get them to see that the tactics that I want to use are the right tactics, get them to see that I'm the right person to do that. And that takes a lot of work and a lot of money. And honestly, I'm a little bit rebellious, and I don't like that. I also learned that the community must lead its own way. The most impactful work happens when communities are in charge of coming up with their own solutions. They understand the unique challenges of their community, the religious, cultural, language, everything that makes that community what it is, and they can come up with unique solutions. So I said, what if there's a different way? What if there's something that I haven't quite thought about yet? What if I could create an organization that is as impactful as an activist community organizing group, that can be self-sustaining like a small business, and that can be smart and use data like tech? And so I got to work, and I decided to focus on the problem of economic empowerment, because regardless of what Latinx families like my own are facing, having more money means that things are a little bit easier. And I built Vamos Ladies. Vamos Ladies is a community where we work with Latina women to help them see and communicate their value through branding so that they can ask for more money. And for the past 2 years, this business has taken so many forms. I've done so much research, tried out so many different business models, so many tactics. I've built hundreds of websites to try to see what would be the most impactful. And if you've ever tried to build a business, it's a little bit like trying to fly a plane and build it at the same time. You're not sure which lever you're gonna pull that might take the whole thing down, or what's actually gonna, make it easier. And it's even more complicated if you're a person like myself who comes from a working class family background, who doesn't have the connections, or didn't have the connections when I first started. I'm trying to do social good, and I'm trying to build a business at the same time. However, it's thanks to the clients that hire me personally as a consultant to work on their own projects that I'm able to continue this work. And I'm able to continue talking about the issues that I care passionately about, and I'm able to continue Vamos Ladies. So for me, entrepreneurship has been a tool for social change because it has allowed me to take as much time as I need to figure out a very important social issue that I care about. And it has allowed me to support myself and to care for my community. And thanks to the clients that hire me, I'm able to give out scholarships so that Latina women can work with me on their brands. And so I've met a lot of people along the way, and what I've learned is that we need more of you. We need you to start that thing that you're passionate about, whether it's a piece of art, or it's an actual organization, or it's a small project. You are the only one that can see those issues in your own way. And actually, the first step, you're doing a really great job, is to surround yourself with people that believe it's possible. I can't imagine doing this without the group of people that I have made for myself really along the way. Something else is to realize that money is good. Maybe some of you had a little feeling in your body when you see this money is good thing, maybe not. I used to. I used to be judgmental and think that money was greedy, and I was brought up to think that like being poor was humble and that we had to work really hard as immigrants and really had to struggle. But what I've learned is that the more money that you can have, the more you can pour into the causes that you care about, your family, and the things that make the world better. And to listen to yourself. Sometimes when I'm working with people, they'll tell me like, here's what I do, blah, blah, blah. And then after we're talking for like 2 hours, they'll tell me, but here's what I really want to do. And they'll whisper this thing. And it's like, they tell me they don't know what to do. And I'm like, you just said exactly what you want to do. But there's too much noise. We don't listen to ourselves. But I believe that you are the expert in your life, and you should listen to that. This is really important. Cultivate spaces where you can be radical and unapologetic. This has been key for me. Being an immigrant is a key part of my identity, yet that continues to be a very polarizing word and issue to bring up. However, I have realized that I can't exist in spaces where I can't be my full self. Because if you've ever built a business or launched a project, you know that it takes every ounce of you. And so we need the radical parts, we need the angry parts, we need all of you in that room, and we need to cultivate spaces that celebrate that. Share your stories with the world. I can't imagine how I would have built this without telling stories. Whether it was through an Instagram caption or an email or a dinner or standing on stage, sharing my story and sharing stories with you is how we've gotten to know each other and how you've gotten to know where my heart is. And that is what has given my work a lot of power, because people want to hear more. So share your stories, they're important. We have to heal through the work. I've learned this. If you're a person that comes from a marginalized community that has faced any sort of oppression, it's likely that the work that you're doing comes from a place where there's a bit of pain. And so it's really important that as you're building something, whether it's a creative project or a business, you find the places that can support that. And if it comes up, you have the right space to heal. I myself have had to take time off from doing Vamos Ladies because I had to deal with myself first. So find the way to heal through the work. And finally, it's scary. People tell me you're so brave standing in front of people and you're not scared. I'm like, no, I'm terrified. But you just learn that it's just part of what it takes, and you do it with the fear, and it gets a little bit less scary each time. Thank you so much. It's an honor to be here in front of you, and if I can support you in any way, don't hesitate to reach out.